The air hung heavy with unspoken words, empty. The silence was deafening, a constant reminder of what once was and what could never be again. That's how our home felt now. A place that once echoed with laughter and love now stood as a hollow shell, a mere shadow of its former self. Empty, like the promises we whispered years ago. Those promises, once vibrant and full of hope, now lay forgotten, gathering dust like the old photo album on the shelf. Promises that faded, with each passing season. Each season brought a new layer of distance between us, a new reason to drift further apart. We were a love story once, a story that seemed destined for a happy ending, filled with dreams and aspirations. Now, just a story, a tale of what could have been, marred by misunderstandings and unspoken grievances. She used to look at me with stars in her eyes. Now, just annoyance. The sparkle that once lit up her face had dimmed, replaced by a cold, hard stare. Her gaze lingered on me, a mixture of pity and disdain. It was as if she saw right through me, seeing only the flaws and none of the love I still held for her. It cut deeper than any blade. The pain of her indifference was a constant ache, a wound that refused to heal. I loved her still. Why? Why did my heart refuse to let go, even when it was clear that hers had moved on? I didn't have the answer. She was beautiful, always had been. Her beauty was timeless, a constant in a world that seemed to change too quickly. But her beauty used to warm me. Now it chilled me to the bone. It was a beauty that no longer belonged to me. A beauty that seemed to mock my lingering affection. It was a beauty reserved for someone else. Someone who could ignite the passion in her eyes that I once did. Someone who wasn't me. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow, a truth that gnawed at my soul. "Going out," she mumbled, her voice devoid of the melody that once soothed my soul. 2 words. Just 2 words that signified the end of everything we had built together. Her voice devoid of the melody that once soothed my soul. 2 words. 2 words that echoed in the empty halls of our home, a stark reminder of the love that had grown cold. That's all I was worth. 2 words. 2 words that marked the end of our story, a love that had once burned so brightly, now reduced to ashes. Her laughter echoed through the house, reverberating off the walls and filling every corner with its cruel resonance. It was a sound that seemed to mock the very foundation of our home, turning what was once a sanctuary into a chamber of torment. As she left, each sharp sound was a tiny dagger to my heart, piercing deeper with every echo. I could feel the weight of her disdain in every note, a symphony of scorn that left me breathless and broken. It wasn't a happy sound. No, it was far from the joyous laughter we once shared. This was a sound laced with malice, a sinister melody that twisted the knife already lodged in my heart. It was a sound of mockery, of victory. She had won, and she wanted me to know it. Her laughter was a proclamation of her triumph, a declaration that she had bested me in this cruel game of hearts. She had won. "He thinks I'm staying in tonight," she'd sneered earlier, her words dripping with venom. What a fool. Her voice had been a weapon, each word a bullet aimed at my already fragile heart, her words dripping with venom. What a fool. The disdain in her voice was unmistakable, a clear indication of her contempt for me. She had no need for subtlety, her intentions were as clear as the pain she inflicted. Her words echoed in the silence of our home, a home that now felt more like a mausoleum, each syllable a brand on my already wounded heart. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark contrast to the cacophony of her laughter. Each syllable, a brand on my already wounded heart. "Why?" I had choked out, my voice a broken whisper. The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. It didn't need an answer. The truth was etched in every line of her face, every syllable she uttered. My voice a broken whisper. The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. It didn't need an answer. The truth was etched in every line of her face, every syllable she uttered. Her laughter followed me like a curse, a haunting reminder of my shattered dreams. The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. It didn't need an answer. The truth was etched in every line of her face, every syllable she uttered. Her laughter followed me like a curse, a haunting reminder of my shattered dreams. It was the sound of my love, my trust, crumbling into dust. It didn't need an answer. The truth was etched in every line of her face, every syllable she uttered. Her laughter followed me like a curse, a haunting reminder of my shattered dreams. It was the sound of my love, my trust, crumbling into dust. The sound of my world breaking apart. The truth was etched in every line of her face, every syllable she uttered. Her laughter followed me like a curse, a haunting reminder of my shattered dreams. It was the sound of my love, my trust, crumbling into dust. The sound of my world breaking apart. and in that moment I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Her laughter followed me like a curse. It was the sound of my love, my trust, crumbling into dust, the sound of my world breaking apart, and in that moment I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The laughter, once a symbol of our joy, had become the harbinger of my despair. It was the sound of my love, my trust, crumbling into dust, the sound of my world breaking apart, and in that moment, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The laughter, once a symbol of our joy, had become the harbinger of my despair. It was a cruel reminder of what once was and what could never be again, the sound of my world breaking apart, and in that moment, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The laughter, once a symbol of our joy, had become the harbinger of my despair. It was a cruel reminder of what once was and what could never be again. The echoes of her laughter would haunt me forever, a ghost of the love that had died that night. Despair threatened to drown me, but then, a flicker of defiance sparked within. Why should I sit here wallowing in misery? Why should I be the only one hurting? I wouldn't, I decided. I wouldn't let her have the satisfaction of seeing me break. I wouldn't be her fool any longer. I deserve better. I wouldn't stoop to her level, no. But I would reclaim my dignity. I would show her that I wouldn't be discarded so easily. I would have a night of my own. I wouldn't sit here alone, a monument to her cruelty. I would go out. I would live. The city lights blurred as I drove, my thoughts a tangled mess. The neon signs and streetlights merged into a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting the chaos inside my mind. I had no destination, just a need to escape the suffocating void that had taken over my life. I wasn't even sure where I was going, just away from the emptiness that had become my life. Each turn of the wheel felt like a desperate attempt to outrun the shadows of my past. The city, once vibrant and full of promise, now seemed like a labyrinth of memories I couldn't escape. I found myself at a familiar cafe, the one with the worn-out booths and the scent of cinnamon lingering in the air. It was a place that had once been a sanctuary, a haven of warmth and comfort. The soft glow of the lights and the gentle hum of conversation were like a balm to my weary soul. It had been our place once, a place where laughter echoed and dreams were shared over countless cups of coffee. The memories of those days were bittersweet, a reminder of what once was and what could never be again. Now, just another painful reminder. The empty booth across from me seemed to mock my loneliness, a stark contrast to the vibrant life that had once filled this space. The weight of the past pressed heavily on my chest, making it hard to breathe. And then I saw her, a figure from a time I thought I had left behind. She was sitting there as if she had stepped out of my memories and into the present. My heart skipped a beat, a mix of hope and fear surging through me. Sitting across from me, a book in her hand, her brow furrowed in concentration. She seemed lost in her own world, oblivious to the turmoil she had stirred within me. The sight of her brought back a flood of memories, each one more vivid than the last. She looked up, startled, then a slow smile spread across her face. It was a smile that held 1,000 unspoken words, a bridge between the past and the present. In that moment, the cafe seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of us in a bubble of shared history. "Is this seat taken?" she asked, her voice soft and melodic. It was a voice that carried the weight of old conversations, of promises made and broken. Her eyes searched mine, looking for a sign, a connection. It was a voice that promised kindness, understanding. A voice that seemed to offer a chance at redemption, at healing the wounds that time had inflicted. Her presence was a balm to my soul, a reminder that not all was lost, a stark contrast to the icy tones I had grown accustomed to. Her warmth melted the coldness that had settled in my heart, bringing a glimmer of hope. In her eyes I saw a reflection of the person I used to be, and perhaps the person I could become again.